Last time, Eugene was getting ready to make a contract with Yerem. Eugene explains that the parchment is made from materials found in dungeons. Signing on it means she'll enter into an agreement with him. The terms are as follows. Join his guild after awakening, never divulge Eugene Han's skills, and serve as Eugene Han's bodyguard for a year. Eugene explains that someone wants to lock him up for being a helpless F-ranker. Then Yerem asks him if he doesn't feel embarrassed for letting a teenager protect him. This stabs Eugene right in the head. Eugene then explains that Yerem will be more powerful than him after her awakening. I don't think child abuse applies if the child is an S-ranker, he says, so Eugene's safe here. Then Yerem asks if awakening means she can live on her own. Eugene explains that awakened minors can gain status as an adult. Hearing this, Yerem decides to sign her name on the contract. Eugene immediately stops her, telling her to finish reading it first and understand the terms of the agreement. Yerem then realizes that she almost made a mistake. Eugene explains that she'll be on the losing end if she blindly signs contracts. He teaches her to negotiate her terms carefully and explains why she would still need an illegal guardian to guide her. Yerem asks what if the guardian rips her off, if they take all the money she makes. Eugene asks Yerem what she means just as a man suddenly screams at her. It seems she's being abused by her relatives, and it's this guy. The man is Yerem's uncle, who starts reprimanding Yerem before Eugene even introduces himself. Yerem's uncle starts pulling on her, telling her she has to work or she'll be sorry. Eugene tries to calm the man down and holds onto the other guy's arm, but the man accuses Eugene of having a relationship with his niece. This shocks and irritates Eugene so much that he starts squeezing the man's arm. The man yells to let him go, but Eugene ignores him and looks at Yerem. Yerem is standing there, avoiding their gaze, feeling uncomfortable. When Eugene sees Yerem's tattered shoes, he remembers the previous yelling and understanding dawns on Eugene. He says she's better off without a guardian like this jerk before them, finding someone who understands her. Yerem agrees and says her uncle is the worst. She starts telling about how her uncle took all her parents' money and never gave anything to her. She then tells about how he would only give her cheap plastic umbrellas during the typhoon, but those would break and he wouldn't get a new one. So she has no choice but to use plastic bags to remain dry. People around them hear the commotion and start murmuring how this is child abuse. Yerem's uncle gets angry and pushes Eugene off him. Yep, he's non-biodegradable trash. Eugene tumbles down loudly, shocking both Yerem and her uncle. Yerem asks if Eugene is okay, but Eugene remains seated on the floor. Eugene was seated on the floor for a second and suddenly started rolling and shouting that the other guy was beating him up for no reason. He starts crying and acting like a victim who only tries to protect the girl. Eugene says the guy would beat Yerem like this, acting all pitiful, and the award for best actor goes to rolling on the floor Eugene. Yerem's uncle got really angry that he grabbed Eugene by the collar. Eugene doesn't miss the chance to tap his foot next to the other guy's foot, making the other person lose his balance and fall on his face on the table. Eugene then stands up and tells the other that spilled soda made the floor slippery. Done with Yerem's uncle, Eugene keeps hold of the other's head, asking if he's okay in a loud voice. Eugene gets closer to the guy and whispers how he shouldn't have ripped off his niece while threatening to put the guy's face in the griller built into the table. Now that is what I call justice. A loud sound stops Eugene from threatening the other guy. He looks at Yerem, but Yerem only compliments him, thinking that the sound came from Eugene smashing her uncle's face to the table. Eugene says it wasn't him while still holding on to the other guy's head. A loud rumbling sound was heard throughout the area, and people started panicking. Sunghan then appears, still holding on to Eugene's corn dog. Good work, soldier. Sunghan tells him they should go because a monster is in the area outside. A monster with multiple tentacles, eyes, and sharp teeth is causing havoc. There was a dungeon break, and it released this monster. Sunghan tells Eugene to return because it's dangerous there, and he tells them he'll buy them some time. Sunghan's fist flashes as he activates his A-rank defensive skill, the shield. On the ground changes and forms a wall that protects them from the monster. Sunghan tells Eugene to get to safety, but Eugene is shocked as he thinks this kind of thing didn't happen in his past life. This is definitely a sign of something wrong with the current timeline. Sunghan tells Eugene to go before he leaps and attacks the monster with a falling kick. Sunghan realizes it's not the monster's main body, and the tentacles start slithering around him. People are still panicking on the other side of the wall that Sunghan made. People were running, and among them were Yerem and her uncle, with her tattered shoes. Yerem falls down. Her uncle sees this. Instead of helping his niece, he only looked back and continued running. I hope he suffers eternal pain. Tentacles come slithering toward Yerem, but Eugene immediately stops them with a base shield. Yerem is stunned, and Eugene tells her to run towards a shelter. Eugene pulls on Yerem's hand as they run toward a shelter. This is how a grown-up should act. Learn from this. Yerem's uncle. The two discover an underground shelter, and Eugene tells Yerem to hide there. Yerem asks, "What about him?" Eugene answers that he has to go back as he thinks of what type of monster it is and how to defeat it. As a defense-specialized hunter, Sung Han wouldn't have wide-area attack skills that could kill the beast. Eugene was still thinking of a way when Yerem gripped his arm and told him she would help. She can immediately help if Eugene awakens her now. Eugene reminds her that she still hasn't signed the contract, but Yerem promises she wouldn't change her mind after things settle down. Because of this reasoning, Eugene doesn't want to let her come. Eugene explains to her that awakening wouldn't make her a great fighter instantaneously. It will safely awaken her and not throw her into battle immediately. You better listen to Eugene, Yerem. Eugene remembers how Eugene fought on his own when he awakened. This event is bringing up bad memories for our MC. With this thought, he swears that he wouldn't forgive himself if he let a kid fight alone. Eugene tells her to get to safety again. Eugene runs off as he thinks of how to beat the monster. He reaches Sung Han on the safe side of the wall with a pole. Sung Han asks why he was there and yells at Eugene to get to safety. Eugene ignores Sung Han's words and just commands Sung Han to use his shield skill. Sung Han says it's useless, but Eugene tells him it would be enough since he has a plan. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is an OP skill to have? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Eugene and Sung Han look over the monsters on top of the thick wall that Sung Han made. Sung Han readies himself, and again uses Terra Shield on top of the border. The earth rumbles and moves in to make a shield instead of making another wall. The earth closed in on the monster, covering it from all sides and sealing even the top. As the earth stops moving, Sung Han thinks he would never have used his skill this way. Eugene tells Sung Han it's his turn as he leaps off and runs towards the hole left by Sung Han's skill. Eugene plans to use the A-rank black poison pill he bought back from the association earlier. They'll kill the monster by popping one of those in an open shield and immediately closing the barrier. But before Eugene can even throw it in, he stops, shocked to see that the monster is missing. He wonders where it went. Tentacles emerge from the sewage and pull Eugene by the ankle. He dangles in the air as he realizes the monster hid in the sewer. It was a miscalculation. He wonders if this is his end. But an umbrella quacks on a tentacle, and Yerem appears with an umbrella extended by a wooden pole. Yerem keeps on attacking the monster that held Eugene. Her attacks work in a way, and Eugene drops to the ground when the monster releases him. She's stubborn, but if it wasn't for her, Eugene might have died for real this time. The two run towards an alley while Eugene scolds Yerem for not listening. Sanction only a civilian. Yerem talks back by shouting that Eugene's only an F-ranker. Ouch. Eugene answers that he's at least an awakened grown-up. Unlike her, Yerem reminds Eugene that he's an adult who wants a teenage girl as his bodyguard. The two kept bantering as they ran. Yerem knows that she's a minor, but is the exact reason why she needs her own powers. When Eugene saved her, she was relieved to have someone who really wanted to protect her. At the same time, it made her angry for being helpless. Instead of relying on others' help, she wants the ability to protect herself and the freedom to make her own choices. To do that, she wants Eugene to teach her how to be strong. For a teenager, she's really ready to face life challenges head-on. The monster is almost upon them, and they stop running. Light starts to gather as Eugene grips Yerem's hand. There was a loud boom. Sung Han could only look over from where he was with eyes open wide. The tentacles are frozen mid-attack, and Yerem's hand is stretched upwards with a remaining magic circle. Yerem has cast Frosty Sigh on it, and the system congratulates her for awakening. She looks at Eugene happily and announces that she got an S rank. She's making me cry with happiness. Yerem shows off her skills to Eugene, while Sung Han can only stare blankly. Eugene scolds Yerem that she should not tell everyone about her skills. Yerem kept on talking, but the monster was still alive. Eugene shouts to watch out behind her as a tentacle grabs Yerem's arm. The tentacles shock Yerem, and she immediately smacks the monster while yelling, "Mommy!" The attack makes Eugene and Sung Han's faces pale with shock. The monster is stuck on the wall, and Eugene thinks Yerem is truly an S rank. Yerem is happy and says that she'll take care of the rest. She borrows the pole Sung Han was holding with a clack to the ground. A blue light appears, and rocks get thrown Eugene's way. But Sung Han protects him with his skill. Yerem activates the sandals of Hermes, and with a whoosh, she attacks the monster, and more rebels fall on Sung Han and Eugene. Eugene screams at Yerem to take it easy, or she'll kill them all. Yeah, she's a bit out of control. While still floating in the air, Yerem apologizes, saying she's still not used to controlling her powers. Eugene looks up at her, reflecting on his previous life, and how they called Yerim the Ice Witch. Instead, what he sees right now is a cheerful girl. She definitely turned into a witch because of that uncle of hers. Eugene comments on how her awakening is unexpected and would have been an added bonus if she had an Evo skill. As Eugene says this, someone beside him says he'll take care of it. With a flare of his hand, Yuhun engulfs the remaining monster in his black flames. Yuhun really loves his brother. This amazes Yerim as she sees how Yuhun's attack cleanly defeats the enemy in one move. Yuhun even looks up at her with a frown in his gaze. He probably thinks this girl is a potential enemy for his brother's affection. Looking at his brother's back, Eugene comments on how Yuhun came to save him. Yuhun looks at his brother and calls him brother with a dark look. Yuhun rushes to Eugene and scolds him, thinking he should have locked him up. Eugene introduces Yerim to Yuhun as Yerim, who is back to the ground. He introduces her as a new S-ranker who can keep him safe. He says hello to Yuhun as she realizes that Eugene is not lying when he says his brother is the guild master. Well, to cease to believe Eugene proudly says that Yerim will sign with him, while Yuhun only comments on how she's still a minor. Eugene scratches his face as he tells his plan to become Yerim's legal guardian. This shocks Yuhun, and he argues that his brother can be just the girl's sponsor. Yuhun's more shocked by this revelation, and by her being an S-rank. Hearing Miss Yerim asks if there's any difference between a legal guardian and a sponsor. Sundan then explains that a sponsor can't get involved in the personal affairs of the beneficiary, meaning they can't protect the beneficiary if they enter a contract that's disadvantageous to them, while a legal guardian can act as a parent to their ward. Yerim gets shocked that Eugene will be her parent, and she tells him that he doesn't have to go that far for her. Yuhun agrees with Yerim, saying that she's a total stranger. Little bro is panicking. Eugene calmly tells Yerim that he must do so because Yerim has a jerk for an uncle, but he will still leave the decision to Yerim. This infuriates Yuhun, and he snatches his brother, saying he won't allow it for his brother's sake. Then he tells how there are many cases of powerful minors who assault their weaker legal guardians. He also mentions that an S-ranker would never listen to an F-ranker. Yuhun frowns at Yerim and asks Eugene what he'll do if Yerim beats him up. Eugene can only say that she wouldn't do such a thing, and that she's a nice girl, shouting that he'll just do it himself if she really needs a guardian. This irritates Yerim, and she says no thanks, since Eugene has already volunteered. Yuhun really wants his brother for himself. Union says that Yerim might one day change her mind. Yerim says she wouldn't since there's a contract to keep Eugene safe. She angrily asks Yuhun if he is sure that he's not the one who's trying to hurt Eugene. That won't happen, Eugene says. The two fought like fire and ice, and Eugene could only try to calm them down. Hearing his brother speak up, Yuhun puts an arm on his brother's shoulder and starts dragging him away, saying they'll go home. It annoyed Yerim more that she grabbed Eugene's arm to stop them, and with Eugene in between two S-rankers, his shoulder dislocates, and Yuhun and Yerim panic. Eugene can only weakly say that they should leave him alone. It's dangerous to be in between an S-ranker's fight. Yuhun worriedly asks his brother if he should get him a healer or potions. Eugene points at Yuhun and starts scolding him. Eugene asks, "Is this how you raise him?" With the finger still pointed at Yuhun, Eugene tells his brother that it's Yerim's choice if she'll get a legal guardian. Eugene scolds Yuhun, saying he should be grateful that Eugene got him a new S-rank to join their guild. Yuhun falters and tries to reason, but Eugene keeps on scolding him. He tells Yuhun that he can't go home yet because he still needs to clean up, and that Sunghun Kim is waiting for him. He commands his brother to do his job as a guild master, and shoos him away, unable to talk back to his brother. Yuhun leaves his brother with Yerim, telling his brother that they'll talk later, and he'll be done in no time. Seems like Yun can't talk back when his brother scolds him. Eugene and Yerim watch Yuhun leave with Sunghun. Yerim then comments on how she didn't know that the guildmaster could be such a jerk, and how she liked Yuhun before because he was handsome. Yun's a jerk when his brother is involved. Eugene then points over a rock and yells at Yerim to not come near him and sit on the rock instead. Yerim immediately follows, apologizing for being unable to control her strength, and asks Eugene about his shoulder. Eugene assures her it's just dislocated as he crouches down to pick up one of Yerim's tattered shoes. Eugene helps Yerim to put on her shoe, and comments on how Yerim's uncle gave her worn-out and wrong-sized shoes. He even tells her they should buy a new pair tomorrow. Yerim is happy as she tells Eugene that this reminds her of how it typically happens in rom-com dramas. Before she finishes her sentence, she gets so distracted by a fly that she just smacks at it. Eugene manages to evade, but he still got hit a bit, causing his nose to bleed. Eugene says this really got his heart beating fast, except it's out of fear. Yerim can only apologize for what happened. At least the fly's dead. The serious talk continues. Eugene mentions that he's only nosy, answering Yerim's question about why he would go so far for her. Eugene explains to Yerim how he has been in her shoes before, and how things were rough when their parents died. He had wished for someone to help him and his brother out back then, and how he might not be the most reliable guy. Eren looks at Eugene and mumbles that Eugene is reliable. Eugene smiles at this, and Yerim teases him for wanting her to become his bodyguard. Whatever the case, Yerim looks forward to having Eugene as her guardian. The two bump their fists as Eugene thanks her. Eugene mentions that he may not be able to love her like her parents did, but still, Eugene tells her, "I love you." This line makes Yerim tear up and laugh hard, saying that it's gross. A system appears and announces that the S-ranker Yerim Park has responded to the keywords and is now under Eugene's care. Eren Park was caught before the two of them can go. Yerim's uncle appears and tells Yerim that he's worried. Back then, yeah, right, you left her on her own. He then asks Yerim if it is true that she got her awakening and tells her how she can make a fortune with that. This disgusts both Eugene and Yerim as they realize they still have to deal with this jerk. Yerim's uncle tells her again how worried he was when he lost sight of her. He asks if Yerim really did awaken, and Yerim answers that she is, and that she's now an S-ranker. Yerim's uncle is all smiles as he exclaims how they hit the jackpot. Yerim then tells him she's moving out and signed a deal with Eugene. This shocks her uncle, who gets angry, telling her she's only 16. Yerim watches the heated argument between her uncle and Eugene, feeling a mix of frustration and sadness. She's just a teenager caught in the middle of this mess. Her uncle's face turns red with anger, and Eugene seems determined to prove a point. But it's Yerim who can't take it any longer. She grabs the umbrella, her only shield in this chaotic moment, and with a burst of courage, she steps between the two arguing men. The tension in the air is palpable, but Yerim knows she has to do something. She's just witnessed Eugene arguing that her uncle shouldn't be her legal guardian, and now her uncle is grabbing Eugene's collar, threatening to sue. With trembling hands, Yerim raises the umbrella and uses it to create a barrier between the two men. She knows she can't attack civilians, but her frustration is evident in her angry gaze as she looks down. And then, with a quick change in expression, she turns all cute and innocent, as if she's an actress in a play. It's a remarkable transformation that surprises everyone around. Her uncle is momentarily taken aback by her sudden change in demeanor, and Eugene nervously reminds her not to attack civilians. But Yerim doesn't stop there. She playfully tells her uncle that he shouldn't use violence and holds the umbrella firmly, asserting herself. Her uncle fires back, claiming that Eugene is trying to scam him. The tension escalates, and the metal umbrella snaps between Yerim's hands. Her uncle looks at her in horror, while she smiles and tells him that she doesn't know what he means. She reminds him of how he pushed Eugene and tripped on his own earlier, using her words like sharp weapons. As Yerim crumples the umbrella into a ball, an eerie aura surrounds her. Her uncle starts to wonder if she's the same teenage girl he used to know, because she's now like a deadly predator. She's become a new S-ranker, someone obviously formidable and dangerous. Eugene, though, remains calm and unfazed. He didn't turn off his fear resistance, making him immune to whatever Yerim did to her uncle. Eugene, on the other hand, watches in silence, thinking that she is indeed scary, being an S-ranker and all. Yerim steps closer to her uncle and boldly tells him that she doesn't owe him anything. The once metal umbrella is now crumpled into a ball, and she questions why her legal guardian can't even provide her with a proper umbrella. With a toss, she sends the metal ball rolling, and her uncle slumps to the ground. She tells her uncle that nothing can stop her from turning him into a ball herself, but she chooses to let it go. Her words are sharp, and she lets him know that it's because he is worthless and doesn't deserve her time and effort. She warns him not to be clingy or trouble the people around her, or she'll do more than just crumple him. Her uncle remains seated on the ground, a lesson learned the hard way. With the tension dissipated, Yerim turns to Eugene, asking if she did a great job imitating him. Eugene can't help but think about how he needs to set a better example for Yerim in the future. He realizes that Yerim's strength is admirable, but there's something he's forgotten. Suddenly, Eugene wakes up from his sleep with a loud slam of the door. Eugene sits up, concerned, and asks his brother what's wrong. Eugene's expression is troubled as he stomps his feet toward Eugene, demanding the things he bought from the association. Eugene is taken aback, realizing he's forgotten something important. Eugene snatches the black poison pill from him, and the room is filled with tension once again. Eugene asks how Yu-Hun knows he bought those, but Yu-Hun doesn't answer. Instead, Yu-Hun asks Eugene if he can't count on him. Eugene asks what Yu-Hun means, with tears in his eyes, and Yu-Hun hugs Eugene. Yu-Hun says he knows that Eugene bought the pills as a last resort. He tells how Eugene plans to use those if Yu-Myun's enemies come after him. Yu-Hun is sure that Eugene will use the pills to take his own life, instead of letting the bad people take advantage of him as a hostage. This freezes Eugene because he has no such plans. Lil Bro's faith and his brother's selfless love are boundless. Yu-Hun looks at his brother with love and tells Eugene that he shouldn't resort to such drastic measures. Eugene tries to correct him, but Yoo-hun keeps saying he wouldn't let anything happen to his brother, and that he'll always be there to save him. Yoo-hun even proved this before Eugene's reset, even when they had a falling out. Eugene is planning to use the pills to clear a dungeon, but he thinks he can't tell his brother that he has a legendary grade poison resistance. In the end, Eugene can only reply with his thanks to his little brother. The two go down the elevator, and Eugene asks his brother if everything has worked out with Yerim. Yoo-hun says that Director Seok has already visited Yerim's uncle. They uncovered all the bad things Yerim's uncle did, and they got him to sign his settlement. This indicates that he'll never contact or approach Yerim, and in exchange, Yerim will drop her lawsuit. Yoo-hun assures his brother that they used carrots and sticks to persuade the guy. "You should have just settled with the stick," he adds. As they leave the elevator, Yoo-hun confirms that this is what Yerim wants, and then they drop the subject. Yoo-hun informs Eugene that Yerim should have acclimated to her powers since she's been in the training room all night. They enter the training room, and Yoo-hun explains that it was built to withstand damage from its rank attacks, letting Yerim go all out with her attacks. But what they see is entirely different from what Yoo-hun just said. Everything in the room is destroyed, and some pillars are still fallen. "Yeah, built to withstand damage. Bro got scammed," Eugene remarks on how the room should withstand the S-rank attacks, while Yoo-hun can only mumble. The brothers can only stare at the destruction. The room is unrecognizable with all the destruction Yerim caused. She punches a punching bag, which shatters to pieces as it turns to ice. Yerim quickly activates a different skill called Shadowless Day. The skill lets her spread her shadows out. Eugene wonders what's happening and if Yerim's okay with the tug. Eugene realizes that he can't move his foot that was stepping on one of Yerim's extended shadows. Yerim activates the skill, and everything within the shadow gets engulfed by it, including Eugene. This completely surprises Eugene, and Yoo-hun can only call for his brother's name. Yerim's shadow continues to move, and she stomps her feet as she runs and punches the floor. It creates a loud boom and cracks the walls as the wall crumbles. Yerim takes a rest when she hears Yoo-hun yelling. This is why the training room is in such a state. Eugene wakes Eugene, who faints and becomes white from Yerim's shadow skill. Eugene manages to wake up and even compliments Yerim for becoming strong. At the same time, Yoo-hun keeps on yelling, trying to keep him awake, seeing the state Eugene is in. Yerim shrieks and tries to wake him up herself. Like a learning machine, Eugene starts up and gets shocked. Yerim asks Eugene if he's okay as she pulls the hood of her jacket down. Yerim looks brighter and more innocent with her shorter hair. Still out of it, Eugene asks who she is. Shocked, Yerim reminds Eugene and asks if he has amnesia. Eugene finally recognizes her, and Yoo-hun explains that they gave Yerim a makeover. Wow, perks of being an S-class. The styling team set it up before she visits the registration center. Eugene admits that it looks great, and he's sure that Yerim will be able to get offers from sports drink companies. Yerim says she has to look the part because she'll be on television. S-rank means instant celebrity. They then get into the talk of her registration, and Yerim tells all of her skills to Eugene. She has Frosty Side, which can freeze the sandals of Hermes for flying and teleporting short distances. And there's Shadowless Day, which can buff and debuff multiple targets. Shadowless Day can boost your chosen stat and skill, and she can absorb the target's shadows to slow them down and add the effect to her buff. This explains why the training room is in shambles. She reveals that she has another skill called Pale Corpse that lets her collect information from dead bodies. Eugene comments that it may seem sketchy, and Yerim says she would rather have gotten another attack skill. She could become a detective using this skill. Thinking about it, Eugene advises Yerim that she can leave it out for now. He explains how a hunter doesn't need to disclose all of their skills when registering, which also applies when revealing the skill effects. Eugene's guidance makes Yerim happy, saying that Eugene is a real expert. Yerim holds on to Eugene's arm, and Eugene compliments Yerim for learning to adjust her strength. This exchange surprises Yoo-hun, and he goes between the two with a frown. Yoo-hun even tells Yerim that Eugene learned all those things for him, and that Yerim should keep her distance from his brother. Possessive bro on the loose. Just hope he doesn't go full yonder. Yerim's irritation was evident as she gestured towards Eugene. She clearly wasn't directing her frustration at him. Eugene felt a bit puzzled by the situation. He even noticed Sunghan saying he was just assisting and advising them to stop arguing. As they stood in front of the registration center, Eugene couldn't help but glance over at Yerim, who had just stepped out of a luxurious Hyeon Guild-owned car. She looked stunning in her casual, sporty outfit, and the flashes from news reporters' cameras were incessant as they snapped her picture. The announcement followed. Yerim was now the 8th S-rank combat-oriented hunter to appear in Korea. Beside him, Sunghan also observed the scene with a hand at his side. He mentioned how Miss Park seemed disappointed because Eugene hadn't accompanied her during registration. Eugene tried to explain that he had a bad experience with crowds and reasoned that now that Yerim was famous, she wouldn't miss him in the crowd. He added that if he did accompany her, it would surely provoke jealousy from Yoo-hun, who had been absent during her registration. Eugene couldn't help but feel relieved that Yerim had gained her independence. The once snobby Ice Witch was gone, replaced by a cheerful and outgoing teenager. However, he couldn't shake the worry about the changing future and the dungeon break that hadn't happened before the reset. Resigned to his fate, Eugene decided to scan the crowd for potential recruits. Most of them appeared to be F-rank hunters, so finding another S-rank seemed like a daunting task. But then, out of the blue, he dashed from behind the pillar, surprising Sunghan, who was guarding him. Sunghan wondered aloud if it was another recruit already, making Eugene ponder the possibility that significant changes were already unfolding. Despite the uncertainty, he couldn't help but hope that these changes might ultimately lead to a better outcome. With his skill, Eugene knew he could polish and enhance potential recruits. With determination, Eugene sprinted toward a long-haired individual in a white shirt with a black bag worn in front, likely a precaution in the crowded area. As he reached the person, he grabbed their arm, and his skill indicated that the individual was an F-rank awaken with the potential to become an F-rank. Myung-woo Yu, as the person was named, possessed an unlockable optimal skill rated as double S-rank. Eugene's eyes widened in astonishment. He had found a new, highly promising target. Could there even be a triple S-rank hunter among them? Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out John 14,947, who commented, "If I could regress, I wouldn't exist. I would simply vanish. My motives are simply beyond understanding." On our Only I Didn't Regress video. Thanks for commenting. Eugene tried to maintain a cheerful demeanor as he addressed Myung-woo Yu, asking if he remembered their previous encounters. Myung-woo Yu, however, seemed perplexed and confessed to not recalling Eugene. Eugene chuckled, trying to ease the tension. "No worries, it's been ages since we last met." Deep within, Eugene couldn't help but acknowledge that they had never actually met before. Simultaneously, he carefully examined Myung-woo Yu's unlockable double S-grade skill, known as the Master of the Golden Smithy. It sounded incredibly powerful. Eugene was convinced that Myung-woo Yu possessed the ability to craft double S-rank equipment, which was incredibly valuable. Eugene had never encountered anyone with such a skill before the reset. If he could assist Myung-woo Yu in unlocking this potential, there was no doubt that they would attract numerous individuals willing to invest. Eugene inquired about Myung-woo Yu's well-being and whether he was experiencing awakening. Myung-woo Yu admitted to his awakening, but disclosed that he had only attained an F-rank. Eugene then signaled to a companion, indicating that he too was an F-rank. He extended an invitation to Myung-woo Yu, asking if he would like to receive basic hunter training alongside them. Myung-woo rejects it, saying he's only there for the subsidy and the essential training costs money. As an F-rank, no one will hire him. He's broke right now. Eugene grasps hand with both of his and says he should come with him to get the training for free at his guild. This confuses Myung-woo, and Eugene says he'll put in a good word for Young-woo if that smell of nepotism arises again. Suddenly, Eugene was grabbed by an angry Sunghan. Sunghan reminds Eugene that the training is only for guild members. Eugene makes a face, saying that the guild can afford to give a freebie to his friend. Still, angry Sunghan tells Eugene to follow the rules. Eugene convinces Myung-woo that he deserves it. These words of encouragement make Myung-woo cry, asking if he really deserves it. Myung-woo cries loudly, shocking both Sunghan and Eugene. Eugene gives Myung-woo a cup of coffee. The sun is already setting, and Myung-woo is finally calmed down. Myung-woo says it has been so long since anyone has been so nice to him. Myung-woo always had a knack for building things, which had won awards. But as he grows old, these things won't matter, and one has to focus on studying. Myung-woo is terrible at studying, and his family can't afford to support him. With everything happening in his life, he got into debt, and now he has nowhere to go. Eugene looks down, saying he knows how it feels. The times may have changed, but the people didn't. People still discriminate. They won't be welcome if one doesn't have powerful combat skills or healing skills. Eugene contemplates how people believe achieving success means following one set of tracks, and how you'll get stuck in the dirt even with a hidden skill. Eugene thinks this happened to Myung-woo in the past, but he never heard of Myung-woo because of this. This time, Eugene believes he can change everything. Yujin stands up and curses. He encourages Myung-woo that the two of them should stop worrying about what others may think. He tells Myung-woo to raise his head and stop slouching, or he'll end up paying for back surgery. With arms stretched up high, Eugene then yells that he loves himself, and that people may not know it yet, but he is extraordinary. Eugene looks back at Myung-woo and says they should keep telling themselves these kinds of things, and Eugene tells Myung-woo, "I love you, buddy. Great job," in inserting the keywords. Eugene is beaming with pride as Myung-woo looks at Eugene with awe and thanks him. The system announces that Myung-woo has responded to Eugene's keyword and is now under the care of Eugene. From there, Eugene thought it would be smooth sailing, but what he received for an answer was a strict no. The director of human resources for Haiyan Guild explains that the guild can't offer free training to a complete stranger. Eugene pleads with the director to let it go just this once. The director explains that they can't do that because people will complain about why the guild would offer such a privilege to some rags. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.